We continue our combine coverage by breaking down who to watch on day 2 of the Scouting Combine, next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
I'm going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere you get your podcast. We continue to give you 50 players in 4 days. I think it's going to be around 50 players. So make sure to stay tuned. Hope you watch all the different episodes, breaking down just prospects and what to watch out for during the Scouting Combine. So today we're breaking down what's going on Friday, February 28th, 2 to 8 p.m. Central Time. Defensive backs and tight ends are going to be out there. So I have 10. I actually limited myself just to 10 players this time. Normally I add a little bit more, but we're just going to focus in on 10 specific players that I really like, that I think are going to show out at the Combine as well, and I think that the Bears might like as well. And actually, scratch that, a couple things out there too, a couple people I actually just have there because I'm just genuinely curious what their athletic scores will be. But let's get started. Number 1, first person I want to bring up is Elijah Arroyo out of the Miami Hurricanes. So he's 6'4", 245. And now I've seen the comps out there for, Kyle Pitts light, and I actually had that, but unfortunately, who he reminds me of is Gerald Everett before he was on the Bears. I know we just cut him, everything like that, but think about Gerald Everett, what he was, when he was good, when he wanted to play. Elijah Arroyo reminds me a lot of that because this guy is just an athlete, and that's where you see the Kyle Pitts comps out there as well. But also, he's only been a starter for 1 single year because he's had a lot of knee injuries. 2 years before that, he's been plagued with injuries. And that's why, to me, the biggest weakness is that production. But when you look at Elijah Arroyo, he's going to be absolutely incredible when it comes down to the drills. He's going to be someone that's going to be really fun to watch. That's why keep an eye out for him. He's currently the consensus number 59 player overall. He's projected to go round 2. And that's why I think he's going to be fun. And we do need a second tight end. And this is someone who's played predominantly in the slot, 216 reps in the slot. I don't know. We didn't have too many two tight ends going out there. The 21 personnel with Ben Johnson in for the Lions. But I think overall, Arroyo, just this phenomenal, fluid athlete. He's just going to be a lot of fun to watch. So you can't miss him. Just very, very, very fun, very quick, very fast. But let's continue to player number 2. Where number 2, this guy set all sorts of just crazy receiving records. Actually, I believe some of them were records out there. Just the stats were absolutely outstanding. 117 receptions, 1,555 receiving yards. Of course, I'm talking about the tight end from Bowling Green, Harold Fannin Jr. He's listed at 6'4", might be more of that 6'3". I think he actually was inside of that 6'3" range, but kind of reminds me a little bit of Jonnu Smith, and also PFF grade this season, 95.9, which is just insane. He was ranked the best tight end overall, but still, on the big board, he's tight end number 4 on the consensus big board and number 66 prospect overall, so look for him in that 2nd to 3rd round range. So, it's pretty easy to know what his strength is. It's his route running. But the reason why I want to see him out there is he runs a little bit upright, and I just want to see how fast he truly is. His running style, like I said, it's almost like he's running flat-footed. It's a little awkward to me, but I just want to see how quick, what are those scores that he's getting, because I think for someone like him, those are really important. From dominating the MAC at Bowling Green, I just want to see just the fluid movement skills that he might have, because being smaller, being probably around more so that 6'3" range, you need to be a faster and quicker tight end if you are going to, in fact, play tight end. So he did split about 50-50 inline and slot reps, but at the NFL level, probably going to be more of that slot. So even though that he's been a little bit smaller, he actually wasn't a terrible run blocker, like I think people kind of assume because of his smaller stature. I just wouldn't be having him out there as a pass protector anytime soon. But really, Harold Fannin, just going to be fun to watch, and also just to see how does he move with some of the other quicker tight ends like an Arroyo. Can he surpass Arroyo as the athletic person, as the big time receiver to kind of take that tight end number 3 away from Arroyo? Now, I have one more tight end to look out for, and it's not someone who might go in the second or might go in the third. It is Luke Lachey out of Iowa. I know we have a lot of Iowa fans that watch, and some of you might go, he didn't do anything. He was banged up. He didn't do as much as we wanted inside of 2024, and that's exactly why I want to watch him. You look at his PFF grade, 58.8, not good at all. Luke Lachey is projected to go in the 7th round. And the reason why I want to watch him is because in 2022, I remember when we were looking at Iowa tight ends, and I put it as his biggest strength as kind of like a joke, but also being serious. Iowa tight ends, very well coached in blocking, very well coached in route running. And you saw that with him in 2022. Then he gets this ankle injury and just truly did not look the same. And right now does not look like an NFL athlete, period. So I want to see what he looks like, what he tests as, because it's a big time thing for him. Because when the ball's up in the air, he still comes down with it very well. Now, not great production, like I've said, since that injury in 2022, this year having 28 receptions, 231 yards. So he didn't really have that bounce back. But I just want to see, like, officially, go out to the combine. What type of an athlete are you? Because it just doesn't seem like, it's unfortunate, it just doesn't seem like he has that NFL pedigree that he showed back in 2022, because he did seem like maybe he wasn't going to be the next great Iowa tight end, but he was going to be just the classic Iowa tight end that you're like, okay, well, 3rd round, we can take a flyer on him. But Luke Lachey, just someone I'm keeping an eye out for, not because I love the type of player. I just want to see what he has to offer, because this is an athlete event. So what can he do out there at the combine? But next player, now let's shift over to the defensive backs, because also if there's any tight ends that you think that you want to be watching out for, let me know down below in the comments. I didn't add some of the top ones just because I can't really see us drafting a Tyler Warren out of Penn State at the number 10 pick. I just can't see that happening. Even though Warren has been phenomenal, just don't see it happening. So let's go down to the safety class. Where next, who I'm going to show is Nick Emmanwori. So he is the safety out of South Carolina, 6'3", 227. And I've heard some people talk about him and kind of question how good of an athlete he is. But when you go to Bruce Feldman's Freaks list, who that is the list, Bruce Feldman has him literally number 1 on the Freaks list. He expects him to just absolutely show out. Rumor is that he could maybe run like a 4.3 40 time. So we'll be on the lookout for that, because running that at 227, what was it? Obi Melifonwu kind of reminds me a little bit of that, where just kind of blow up the combine that way. The other person that he actually does truly remind me of is Kyle Duggar, because Kyle Duggar, he was originally recruited to play linebacker. Nick is. Emmanwori was originally recruited to play the linebacker position. So a majority of his snaps have come in the box, and very big, very willing tackler as well. And also very good missed tackle rate, 7.2% missed tackle rate. It's actually very, very good for a safety. So really does remind you of that Kyle Duggar. But the big thing is like the fluidity in his hips, because I think he's going to test like crazy, as Bruce Feldman has claimed. He's going to just absolutely go off and be the story of the combine. But this is where the drills are popular and important to me. Watch the drills, see his hip movement, because when you see it on tape, he just seems like he's like, hey, I'm faster. He plays like a little kid in Madden with a super fast guy, because he's super fast. He's very athletic, 6'3", 227, very big time athlete. But you just want to see the fluidity inside of his hips to just really kind of flow sideline to sideline. And consensus, he's the number 32 overall prospect. So maybe he drops to the Bears at that second round pick if the Bears want to get a safety. Because keep in mind, we do have Kevin Byard, but at the same time, we might need somebody for the future. And also Jaquan Brisker, it seems like he's going to be back with the concussion, back from his concussion, but still we need something to potentially build at that safety position. So that's one of the people that I have on my lookout list inside of the scouting combine, because he's probably going to be the story of Friday. He's probably going to blow the whole thing up and people are going to be like, oh man, this is Obi Melifonwu. He's going to be up there. I think I've heard, so some of the numbers, 4.35 to look out for, and also look for a 40 plus vertical leap from him. So Nick Emmanwori out of South Carolina. Now next, like I said, Bears safeties, it's something that's very important. And this is someone who I absolutely love on tape, and that's Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. Another college that we have a lot of Bears fans that love. Notre Dame, Xavier Watts, you probably already know him. Bronco Nagurski Award winner, 6 foot, 203, redshirt senior, just very, very, very good player. And I really struggle with what his comp is. I saw Ronnie Hickman out there and I was like, I'll grab that. But the reason why I struggle with his comp is because you see he has incredible ball skills. 6 interceptions this year, 9 PBUs, 89.5 coverage grade, just absolutely crazy coverage skills, and 465 snaps deep, 306 in the box. So he is someone that can be that deep safety, that can be a ball hawk. But sometimes on tape, I just don't see the speed. I just don't see this burst, this acceleration. And it's really weird because it's just that next level athleticism that I really, really, really am curious about. To be honest, out of everyone that I'm going through inside of the scouting combine, I am most curious about Xavier Watts because I just want to see what he tests as, because I'm just baffled. On tape, sometimes he just doesn't look like a good athlete, and then other times he does. I'm confused. I'm confused about this one. So that's why I just want to watch him at the scouting combine. He's my number one person to watch, period. Because this is someone that's also projected. If you look at his overall consensus grade, his consensus big board grade is number 62. So he's kind of around that second to third round range. So if the Bears do want to spend a day 2 capital on a safety, Xavier Watts, to me, right now, tape grade, phenomenal. I love watching his tape. He can tackle, he can do it all. I just want to know what type of an athlete he really is, because this I'm just flabbergasted with. I'm just generally confused with Xavier Watts as to what type of an athlete he actually is. So that's what I'm watching out for sure. But now I want to flip a little bit. I want to flip over to the corner conversation. Now I know Tyreek Stevenson is out there and Tyreek Stevenson is working to get better. But I do want to just call out some cornerbacks, because with the 10th pick, I've said this before, I want to take the best player available. And one of those potential best players available was someone who was literally like the top person last season, but had some injuries this year. And I'm talking about Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan. And the reason why he's so important to me is because if you can draft the best player available, someone who reminds me of Patrick Surtain, 6'2", 202, junior, was the guy on the Michigan defense. Like, just absolutely incredible lockdown when they went on their championship run. Obviously, they had Mason Graham, the defensive tackle. But Will Johnson, I remember seeing the post with NCAA football that he's the first 99 overall grade that they're giving. Now, it's not just a video game. They have their own entire scouting department. And they're like, listen, Will Johnson is phenomenal. And when you put on the tape, he really is. And you look at the PFF grade, 143rd. You might say, well, why doesn't the grade match up? Well, the whole reason with this, I was looking at the grades and everything. He was just consistently banged up last season. And you look at how he performed early on in 2024. The first games that he played out there, you saw Will Johnson. And then after the injury, you just did not see the same level of production. And my biggest question, why he is another person that needs a good scouting combine, is first off, he has to show that he's healthy. He has to definitely show to the teams like, hey, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to go. Last year, just had some nagging injuries. Don't worry, guys. I'm still a superstar. And also, too, his long speed. That is my biggest question mark because it just feels like Will Johnson has this quick twitch, the agility that you see with like the next level corners. He's got that it factor. Now the problem with him is that when someone gets a step on him, you just don't see that recovery speed to then catch back up. And this is in college. So to me, what is your 40 time? And if you don't run it, I'm going to be questioning you a little bit because right now he's the number 7 overall prospect. Cornerback 2. Cornerback 2. I've maybe cornerback 1. I have to double check that. I might have actually just had a little typo with that. But Will Johnson, or actually that's behind Travis Hunter, of course. But Will Johnson to me though, just that true corner instincts, he just has that. So it's going to be all about that long speed. Does he truly have that? Is he going to grade well with that? Because that is going to be the whole storyline with him during the combine. So now let's go to the next player. Jahdae Barron. Already has an incredible last name. I just have to say, incredible last name for Jahdae Barron. But this is a person also, UT, Texas Longhorn. The thing that I love about him is just the pure instincts, the football IQ. This guy has it. He's also projected to go round 1, might slide to round 2. That's what I'm hoping for. That's why I wanted to call him out because he kind of reminds me a little bit of Brian Branch during this time. Now, Brian Branch was a little bit more slot heavy and a little bit better inside of man coverage. But the reason why I gave him the comp of Brian Branch is because Brian Branch played everywhere. Jahdae Barron did that at Texas. This year was the first year he ever actually played corner. He did 679 snaps outside, 122 in the slot. But before that, he was a free safety. He was a strong safety. He played all over the place. And it's because of his next level instincts. This guy is a zone player, 91.5 zone grade with PFF, only a 69.1 man coverage grade, but that's probably his biggest downfall. Like when I see him as a player, just the instincts are there. Like it's so hard to just teach people those instincts. And that's why I also want to know, what about the athletic testing? Because yet again, reminds me a lot of Brian Branch. Is he going to run a Brian Branch 40 time where he gets a 4.6? And then now all of a sudden he starts sliding. People don't want him. And then we can take him in the second and then all is happy. But Jahdae Barron, I really like him because if you want him as that outside corner, he could play that. If you want him as a slot, you can do that. If you want him at safety, just get good players. And I just really want to watch him because it's just fun to see someone that instinctual be playing football. So also, like I said, kind of hoping for a minor little downfall so that he falls down to us at our first second round pick, just kind of hoping for a little bit of that. But let's continue going through the next couple ones. This one, they're actually not, I don't expect them to actually perform at the scouting combine, but I just want to see, are the Bears going to meet with him? And that is Shavon Revel. And he is the cornerback out of Eastern Carolina. And he's insane. He is 6'3", 193. That's why I hope that he actually can perform out there in the combine. The reason why he can't is because after I think it was like 2.5 games, tore his ACL and still kind of recovering from that. Did not perform, did not play in the Shrine game. So I'm hoping we can at least see a little bit out of him. Also to his measurements, 6'3", 193. That's another thing that's key for me too. Is he going to be still 6'3", or is he going to be a little bit shorter? Like, did they tack on a couple inches? But also, is he going to be coming in at 193? What does he look like coming off of that injury? The reason why I bring that up is because this guy is just crazy. It's Antonio Cromartie. It's the Tariq Woolen out of the Seahawks. Someone that big, someone that instinctual. And this is also someone who is just purely aggressive. He's just going to attack the line of scrimmage, attack in the run game. He's just a very, very fun player to watch. Now, the downside is that he's very, very raw in coverage. So even though that he's still great, his grades were somewhere around in the 70s, but still, it just doesn't feel like he's super, super comfortable in coverage. So I bring him up because my fingers are just crossed that he's able to play, able to at least run or do something, right? Maybe he does bench. something. I just want to see him do something because he's just an absolute freak of nature that you just want to see him do something. But if anything, he might be available to us with that first, second round pick. Yet again, it all just goes down to what do the Bears think about our secondary. So I don't have too many people that are far down the list, but just want to call out a couple. This one, though, is someone that is sliding all over the place, and he's been rated high, he's been rated low, and he's out of Iowa State. And this guy is Darien Porter out of Iowa State, 6'2", 200 pounds. Iowa State listed him at 6'4". That's where you need to get the actual measurements. He measured in actually at 6'2". But this is a redshirt senior. He's going to be 25 years old as a rookie. So that older treatment, 1-year starter. And this guy just reminds me of like Juju Brents, who was it, Darius Rush. Those players that are just these crazy athletes, good in zone coverage because they are just former wide receivers. Darien Porter was for 3 years a wide receiver at Iowa State, shifted over to corner, and then thanks to eligibility is now going to be 25 years old. So older player, but 1 year as a starter at the outside corner position. And man, like I put as his strength, this guy just has traits, just the speed, the athleticism, the ball skills is just crazy good. And that's where you get the 91.1 zone coverage grade, where he just has the instincts, still learning how to kind of flip his hips and match players. That's why I always love the drill when they just kind of go back, flip the hips. Let's just see how fluid he is. Has he been working on it? Because yet again, first year really as a starter at the corner position. What's nice about this guy too is that at least his floor is a special teams player. He's blocked 4 punts and he's also blocked a field goal. And also, he's the number 87 overall prospect, cornerback number 9. So someone who's got all the traits that you want and only allowed a 29.4 completion percentage. He's got all the traits. He's going to be super fun to watch at the combine. That's where he's going to be getting his speed, his quickness. I just want to see the fluidity of him out there. But man, he's fun to watch. But speaking of fun to watch, for those that have been watching this show for a while, you might remember my old co-host, Johnny PayPal. And Johnny PayPal still listens to this show. So if you're listening to this one, check out Jacob Parrish, man. Because Johnny PayPal loved just like the sticky players, the feisty players that were always in your face. That is what Jacob Parrish is. Like he's constantly in press coverage. Like whether or not you like it or not, the guy is just a permanent press coverage guy. And I think that's what makes him so much fun to watch because he's 5'10", 198 pounds out of Kansas State, junior Jacob Parrish. And man, he's just going to be all over them. He reminds me of CJ Gardner-Johnson, where the guy's just all over his wide receiver, always playing press coverage. And the thing that's negative, right? Because if he's always over him, why isn't he rated higher? Because right now he's number 121 on the consensus big board, cornerback number 14. And the reason why I think people are kind of down on him, why he's so far down, is because he kind of projects more into that slot role, very similar to CJ Gardner-Johnson in that aspect. But also the reason why he reminds me of CJ is because of just the annoyingness. He's just constantly over the receiver, but also the guy just really doesn't have ball skills because it seems like he's just so zeroed in on mirroring whatever his wide receiver does that he's not really he's not great going after the ball. But sometimes too, he does get tripped up on some double moves. But that's the reason why I want to see, what do you test as? Because a lot of people project him as a slot. So how tall are you? What's your weight? What's your long speed? What's your short speed, right? We want to know all these different stats about him because I kind of want to know, where does he actually fit? Because he could be a really nice person to grab round 4, round 5, wherever he might land. But he's just fun to watch. Anytime I can watch him, I just want to see, how do you run without being blanketed on top of a receiver, right? Constantly having your hands all over them. How do you actually move in open field? So that's who I have. An official 10 people to watch out for day 2, corners, safeties, and also tight ends. Anybody that I missed, anybody that you really like, that you're excited, let me know down below in the comments. Also, stay tuned. The the next 2 days. So tomorrow I'll have a video posted, and the next day we'll have another video posted breaking down who to watch for all the days of the Scouting Combine. So if you like this and love the NFL Draft, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because I think it'll be fun for us to go live after the Combine just to kind of hear who did everybody love. But make sure to stay tuned. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bride.